Hello, I'm Heather Butler. I'm the Social Sciences and History Librarian here at South. Today we are going to look at a few different types of articles that may come up. The first most important quality that we're going to talk about is peer review. The peer review process is when experts in a subject review an article for things like research quality, accuracy, before it is published by the journal. First, we'll look at articles that have likely not had peer review. We are going to look at a book review article or a review article. They are meant to review a publication that has come out recently. So in this case, this has actually been written by Matthew Nichols, and they have written a review about Origins of Classical Architecture. So ways to identify these kinds of book review articles are that they usually start with the citation information of the book that's being reviewed, which is what we can see here. And then usually they are pretty short length, and the text is all focused on the qualities of the book that's being reviewed. The next thing that we're going to look at, the next kind of article, this is also one that rarely is going to get peer-reviewed. This is an editorial article. So it's something that's been written by an editor of either normal editor of the journal or of the editor for something like a special issue of the journal. And so a lot of the times an editorial will also be quite short, shorter than like your typical kind of real peer-reviewed article. It's like this kind of like high level talking about either a specific issue or about like the entire journal. It's a discussion about the journal or the issue, and it'll include information about like scientific topics. All right, the next one that we're going to look at is a commentary. So in a lot of ways, this is going to be very similar to the editorial. They're usually not going to be peer reviewed. They're also going to usually be rather short length, written as a commentary on any kind of issue in like research on the subject. It could be written in response to something that somebody else published. They are not going to be saying, we are presenting our research when we did this study of measuring these things, and it's just not going to be that kind of like very structured. All right, so let's start actually talking about things that very likely almost always have had some kind of peer review process before publication. So one of the first ones we're going to look at is an article that's been written to be like a discussion on presenting theories, methods, and or approaches. So this is talking about behavior, like suggestions for things that should be studied and how they should be studied, or things for suggestions that are meant for practitioners, people who actually practice the kind of work they're talking about, and suggestions for how to do that, what approaches to use. So what we're looking at right now is about, it's a discussion on ways to teach about cinema and culture and higher education by using spaghetti westerns. So for this, we can see that it has a pretty long length, which is about right for an article. It also has more of that traditional like academic article structure where it starts with an abstract, it has keywords, and as we go down, we can see that it's broken up into sections. All of this has that very like classic look that we basically should usually be looking for. One that we can see that is like that super typical kind of research article. This one is where they're really presenting like where they say, you know, this is the penguin group that we studied. This is what we studied about it. This study recorded diet of little penguins during the chick rearing stage of breeding at 3 colonies in southern New Zealand. 69 stomach samples were acquired. So they tell you about their process of how they got these stomach samples, what they did with the stomach samples, and what their findings were. So this is an actual, like, these are the steps we took. This is what we wanted to research. These are the steps we took to research it, and this is what we found out. That's like the classic structure for whenever somebody is writing a research, an actual research article. The next thing that we can look at is about like a level above something like the Penguin article. This is somebody who they wrote, again, this is a different kind of research article. This is what we call like secondary research. What they did is they're basically giving you a review and a summary of what other people have researched and found, like what other people have written about their topic. And it does reach the same standard of being like a research article because it's something that's done very like formally. It's very structured. We can see that it has all of these like parts where like they tell you their process, where they decided which articles they would be reviewing and which articles they would be throwing out and not including in this final paper. So it's the same thing where it has like a structure and a kind of rigor to it, and it would be expected to be under peer review, to have been peer reviewed. Good luck!